Testing. Okay. Greetings and welcome to the energy of Sagittarius. This is Ron from Terror of the Twin Sun. Terror of the Twin Sun is a functional division within the Order of the Twin Sun. Please take only what you will. So, we are looking here at the energy of Sagittarius for the month of August, particularly on the day of the 1st. That's 5:15 p.m. GMT. We shall first look into the ruler of Sagittarius, which is Jupiter, currently in Aries, placed in the 3rd house in retrograde, okay? And is very closely related to the 4th house, the IC. I'm seeing here nothing but good when it comes to the mystery of wealth that comes through primarily pioneering engineering. Okay, and this occurs in a very subtle way in the realm of the occult, in secret societies, as well as secret resources that come through joint finances, as well as collectivized economies. Okay, and this is giving for you a sense of a voice or a sense of mastery when it comes to faith being placed back into the economies. So I'm seeing here essentially an element of mastery or a lesson that can be learned by observing the secret motivations of others, okay, especially when it comes to the proclivities of resourcefulness, of wealth, of shared economies, but also of deep connections, okay, emotional deep connections with others that might be pioneering in nature. This gives Sagittarius a sense of mastery through the lens of the student, becoming a pupil in some sort of way. You find these teachers that can be pioneering in terms of your deep connection with them, and this can come through the form of sex. It can also come through the form of deep emotional undercurrents. Okay, strong connections are very much pointedly sort of standing out for me in the month of August, okay? And this will essentially give a great deal to Jupiter in terms of Jupiter's own truth, in terms of reinforcing a latent truth, something that is trying to come about. With Jupiter in retrograde in Aries, there is a leap of faith that is very much required for the archer to shoot its arrow into the infinitum. And as this occurs, there's an ability of, a hidden truth or a hidden gift that comes through Jupiter, and with this happy sort of dimension of the 8th and the 3rd house, there is essentially something coming into being, okay? And there's a mystery behind it. It's best not to sort of to think about it too much. You may find that the actions of others may be mysterious in some sort of way, in which they inform you how to hold something or how to grasp something. The idea here is not to grasp too much, because a lot of it is etheric in nature, especially when it comes to you gaining a sense of business. From this, there's a possibility of great communication in terms of the way things are brought to you, in terms of pioneering collective resources, pioneering sort of collective pools, okay? Think of like cryptocurrency or the stock market. There's something here about benefics here, very strongly indicating and reinforcing a sense that you're doing the right thing in terms of business. The other great ruler in terms of teaching is Saturn retrograde. Now, Jupiter and Saturn retrograde, there's a lot that has to do with a lack of wisdom, especially when it comes to making the right choices in your reality. And the idea here is to not be so negative when it comes to you taking a chance on different and unique ways of coming up with a sense of reality or a sense of wealth or resourcefulness. There's a lot to do with a block in creativity, okay, as well as a combust Mercury with the Sun here in Leo in the 8th house. So the trick here is to not really identify in terms of practicality, but more to look into what can be learned through the lessons that are being offered for the early month of August. especially the early days of August. There's a possibility here of what I see here to be some form of relationship matters. Okay, in terms of relationship, there's going to be a lot of interesting developments that has to do with what you value in terms of true relationships, authenticity, authentic friends. They will emerge, and you have to embrace something about a transformation of your own inner world in order to get there. There's something about your inner world that is coming into a sense of culmination or permeation through primarily selectivity. What you can do in terms of how you choose certain routines or certain places of work. There's an identification here in a very deep way, in a very emotional way, of certain truths coming through you being selective. And as you become more selective, then you become rewarded in terms of transformations that are trying to come to be known. The difficulty is that there's way too many planets, the stellium of planets that activate your second and third houses, okay? That is Pluto in retrograde, Saturn in retrograde, Neptune in retrograde, and Jupiter in retrograde, okay? Occupying some of the later sort of zodiac signs, okay? This has to do with an end or a closing when it comes to a way of doing things or a way of business. There is an auspicious way of you identifying with certain polarities and then choosing and using discrimination in order to purify your own inner world, and to also, if you were to do this, to essentially come up with a sense of knowing, of wisdom, okay, that is trying to become known. And when these planets go direct, there's a possibility of great resourcefulness coming from it, great energy, an energetic sort of culmination, a culmination point. And I really like that. Some of the more difficult things is having to do with change, okay, change and learning, and trying to come up with a creative way to substantiate your realities with all this sort of Aquarian energy, and with Taurus with a great deal of energy of wanting to change or desiring some form of action in a place of stagnation. There's an essence of required patience, okay, that has to do with the inner knowing and exploring the inner world deeply in order to find ways of discrimination, okay, not in a negative way, but ways of really trying to find the authentic and the pure, okay. There's this whole purification aspecting going on that I really like, that allows for essentially exclusivity and trying to find ways to purify the inner world in order to find transformation in its highest form. Lots of creative energies, and mostly I'm seeing valued relationships coming in, valuable relationships coming in terms of their authentic connection to you. So that is what I'm seeing for the month of August. I do thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Bye-bye.